Hi, welcome to Oral Interpersonal Communication. My name is Sarah Z. Johnson, and I will be your professor this summer. Over the next 6 weeks, we're going to be tackling a lot of, I think, super interesting issues when it comes to our communication habits and styles. And I think one of the great things about this class is that we can all learn something. Um, I just want to start by saying this is definitely one of my favorite classes to teach. I've been a faculty member at Madison College for 17 years, and this is definitely one of my favorites. You'll learn to practice public speaking in this class, and yes, I know it's an asynchronous class, but you still are going to have to do some public speaking in here. But I think more importantly, you're also going to learn about everyday communication that you do with the people around you. Clearly, professional communication is a focus of the class, but I also want you to be thinking about the communication you're doing with your partner, with your mother-in-law, with your kids' teacher, things like that. I like to tell my students that oral interpersonal communication, kind of depending on who you are as a communicator, is about learning how not to be a jerk or not to be a doormat if that tends to be more your style. Um, so much of what we learn in this class probably won't feel and shouldn't feel brand new to you. You're already very likely good in a lot of communication situations, and that's one of the things we'll be talking about. And this class isn't going to transform you into a whole other type of person. Like if you're super shy and quiet, this class is not going to make a motivational speaker out of you. However, um, I think it can help you be or feel more prepared in situations where you don't feel as comfortable. Like, maybe your boss calls on you in a meeting and says, hey, what do you think about that? Or maybe your sister asks you to give a speech at her wedding or things like that. We all have different things that we're uncomfortable with, and one of the things about this class is that I am going to ask you to push yourself outside your communications comfort zone. And that's tough, but it's also how we get better. So no matter who you are, whether you are an excellent communicator, talker already, or you're one of those people who freezes up the second they get into conflict situations, um, no matter what, this class is about helping you become better at those things that you need to work on. Let's see. I think one of the things that you probably shouldn't do in here, and this is kind of related to that idea, is not to always just rely on your gut, on your instincts about what works in communication. Because while, as I said, you're very likely good in many, many communication situations, we're not always great at knowing why. Or thinking about the reasons behind why we're good or poor in certain communication situations. We tend to overestimate certain skills like listening, and then underestimate other skills based on faulty or old assumptions. So this class is going to ask you to take a new look at your habits. And also this class is going to provide you with a theoretical framework for thinking about those communication habits and situations that you can recognize once you're in them, but you may not have thought about them in this systematic way before. And once you have that system to analyze, often what we find is that it's easier to improve then once you're able to look at it a little bit more systematically. So some things to talk about over the next 6 weeks. This is a short class, and so it's pretty intense. One of the things that I want to tell folks is to plan on between 12 and 15 hours of work a week, because we're getting through an entire semester's worth of material in just these 6 weeks. Also, the other thing to know is while this class is asynchronous and I rely on y'all to be managing your time in ways that work for you, one thing I will say is it probably won't work well if you are waiting to do all the work on Sunday. And just so you know, usually Sundays are our main due dates in this class. There are lots of large projects in this class, and those require step-by-step work that needs to happen over a little bit of time. There will be some midweek due dates, so pay attention to those as well. Also to let you know, I tend not to open units up early, maybe a day or so. But if you want to work ahead, if that's going to, make you feel better and more prepared, definitely read, because you're going to be reading this entire book in order. And so reading ahead of time is definitely a way to get ahead. This is important. For accelerated classes, I don't accept late work. And that's just because of the pace. Forward momentum is absolutely vital. If you miss a deadline or you realize that you're not going to finish a project, turn in whatever you have by Sunday. I promise it's better than nothing. All right. And then just move on to the next week's assignments. I will say I'm not unreasonable. So if something crazy happens, please let me know and we can talk about it. But in general, late work is just too much of a problem for an accelerated class. Make sure that you overview the entire syllabus. A lot of these policies are outlined there, but I did want to highlight some of these main ones. And definitely let me know if you have questions. I think one of the things that's important to know is that communication between us is really vital to make an asynchronous class work. I want to know what's going on with you, and I read your stuff. I try to give you timely feedback. That's how we connect, right? However, it is important for you to be in contact. So that means with me, that means with your classmates. I do use your Madison College email address. So check your email, once a day. Make sure that you're checking the Blackboard site. That's where I'll post announcements and things like that. Okay. I think the important thing to know when it comes to communicating with me over email, I will definitely do my best to respond to you within 24 hours, not counting weekends. If I haven't, absolutely feel free to give me a nudge. It's not because I'm deliberately ignoring you or hate you. It's probably just because it fell off the burner. I will not be offended. So in the last part of this video, I want to talk a little bit about the class itself. So what you want to do is go to our syllabus. And this is the part, and of course, I want all of you to read these very carefully. But here's the part where I want to talk a little bit about what our plans are for each unit. So Unit 1 is chapters 1 through 4 of the textbook, and it will give us a common language and framework to talk about the communication concepts we'll be exploring. It will introduce you to the concept of rhetorical awareness, something that I'll be talking about a lot throughout the term. It covers language, listening, and nonverbal communication. The final project for this week is the communication inventory, which is sort of like a paper. All right. And it's where you'll take stock of what you're skilled at and what you want to work on for the rest of the class. Unit 2, week 2, is the mock interview unit, and we're going to focus on the job search and the interview itself. The assignment is the mock interview, and for that, you'll be partnered up with somebody in the class who is hopefully within your field of study. We'll determine that by looking at the discussion board from week 1. Week 3 examines the role of self-concept in communication. It also talks about how to be persuasive in conflict situations, which, unless you're like a professional debater or a prosecuting attorney or something, that's often when most of us have trouble with our communication competence. Week 4 requires research and informative speaking. It is also obviously where we tackle the idea of communicating across cultures, and so that'll be fun. Unit 5 is 2 weeks long, which is very exciting. And in that unit, I'll break you up into 3 groups, and you will be kind of in charge. You will be the ones who are putting on a board meeting project. So as I said, I really look forward to working with you this semester, or this these next 6 weeks. I definitely want to meet with you. We can do it over WebEx, Zoom, whatever, or just talk on the phone or email. It's really up to you. But I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to get to know you. And I wish you the best.